So you want to finally get in shape, but it's just impossible to get to the gym. You're trying to plan that dream vacation you've always been talking about forever, but you can never find the time. You want to learn that new skill that you know will propel you to the next level, but life gets in the way. In fact, you have a very long list of goals and things on your to-do list that if you could just get them done, life will be so much better. But your job has a to-do list as well, and theirs seems to take priority every day. Does this sound familiar to you? Instead of making any real progress, you just feel overwhelmed. You feel like you're busy, you're working every day, all day, you're juggling a dozen different things and somehow getting absolutely nothing done. And that constant stress of knowing that you should be doing something but having no idea where to start, that's actually the exhausting part. So what if I told you the secret to finally crushing your goals and taking that dream vacation and actually taking things off of your to-do list is simply just adjusting your approach? It's time to start treating everything in your life like a project. And in this video, I'm going to show you a very simple 3-step framework to do exactly that. Now, when you hear the term project management, you probably think of a corporate boardroom, a bunch of confusing charts, people sitting around a desk talking about budgets and deadlines as they drink their morning coffee. And most people think that being a project manager requires a certification or a specific skill set or a college degree. But those people would be wrong. Because here's a little secret that nobody tells you. The core understanding of project management is already innately within you. You're just not using it effectively yet. Let me explain. Since the beginning of man, there's always been problems to solve. It started off with basic needs. We get thirsty, we need to drink. We get hungry, we need to eat. We get cold or hot, we need shelter. Each of those things required a plan of action to actually achieve it on a grand scale. And if you think about those things as trivial, sure, they are now, but just imagine being one of the first people to actually try those things. The first people that had to search for water or hunt for food or build a shelter probably failed over and over again until they learned how to plan. So people learn from their mistakes, and eventually, no matter how primitive, they developed a plan of action for the things that they wanted to achieve. And what applied thousands of years ago still applies today. Building plans are ridiculously powerful when you know how to build them and apply them to your own life. But most people don't plan past their day, or for the next few minutes for that matter. Yes, a person may know how to hit their goal, but if you ask them if they're following a plan to hit their goal, most of them will tell you no. And this is the actual disconnect. If you really think about it, we already manage a bunch of mindless mini projects all of the time. We just don't use that word. Some of these are planned and some aren't. Planning a family trip, getting your finances in order, or just figuring out what to cook for dinner, these are projects. The problem is, without a system, these goals and to-dos just get dragged out or become mental clutter. And that's actually what leads to the feeling of being completely overwhelmed. But when you adopt a project management mindset and begin to actually plan things, you give yourself a blueprint to turn that chaos into clear action steps. So don't think of a plan as a bunch of steps on paper. Think of it as a system that's going to cut down on your stress, boost your sense of accomplishment, and free you up for mental energy so that you can finally focus on the things that actually matter. And the best part, you don't need any fancy software or AI to build this plan, although it may help. All you need is a new way of project management thinking and a simple 3-step process to get things done. So let's get into it. Step number 1, define your project scope. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to need to do to build your plan is to define what project managers like to call the project scope. In the professional world, the Project Management Institute defines project scope as the work performed to deliver a product, service, or result with specified features and functions. Now, this definition is very general, it's very vague, and it leaves out one important part of the scope conversation that's actually vital to your planning. So to put this simply, defining your scope means to define what you will do to achieve your goal and what you will not do to achieve your goal. And I can tell you this based off of experience. Defining what you will not do helps you clarify what you will do or what you must do. There's many different ways to reach a destination. Some of these paths are going to be harder than others, and part of defining your scope means to eliminate the hard parts to get to your goal by following the path of least resistance. Defining what's not in scope not only clarifies that path, but it helps you consider the things that you also want to avoid on your path. Now, here's a very hard fact of life. Most of us are going to fail at our goals before we even start because they're just too vague. For example, a goal like get healthier really isn't a project. It's more like wishful thinking. And a wish is impossible to act on because it has no finish line. You haven't really thought that far in advance yet. All projects have a finish line to cross, and get healthier has no finish line. This is why this type of goal becomes overwhelming, because you don't know what done actually looks like. But this is where defining your scope actually comes in handy. Instead of get healthier, you define a clear project scope, something like this. My project is to lose 10 pounds in the next 3 months by exercising 3 times a week. I will also cook 4 healthy dinners at home per week. Also, I will not eat any sugary treats, drink sodas, or eat fast food. Now you have something that's clear, measurable, and actually time-bound. You know what you will do, you know what you won't do, and best of all, there's a finish line. Now, to reach this finish line, you may want to add a little bit of motivation into the mix. And to do this, you want to define your why. Why are you even doing this in the first place? Why do you want to do this? The goal isn't to just lose 10 pounds, it's actually to feel more energetic and not get winded when you run behind your kids. The goal isn't to plan a vacation, it's to create unforgettable memories and feel the best you can while you're doing it. This why is your project's mission statement. It's the emotional fuel that'll keep you going even when you feel like quitting. Let's take another example. Let's say, for example, you wanted to write a book. Well, writing a book is a huge goal, and believe me, I've written one before and it's not the easiest thing to do. But write a book has the same issues that Get Healthier does. It has no finish line. But saying something like, I want to finish an 80,000 word first draft of my fantasy novel by the end of the year and only sell it on my website, now that's a project. And the why might be something like, I finally want to get this story out of my head and hopefully I can make some money from it. Same rules apply. So whatever goal is stressing you out right now, take a minute and define it as a project. Define the scope by explicitly stating what you will do and what you won't do. What's the specific measurable outcome you want to achieve? What's the deadline? And most importantly, what's your deeper reason for doing it? Write this stuff down. This one act of clarification is often half the battle. Now, once you get your scope, you're moving on to step number 2. You want to break your scope down into tasks. Now, once you have a clear scope, it's time to start breaking it down into what it'll actually take to achieve what you want to do. A very big, ambitious goal can still feel very intimidating even with the clear scope. The trick is to break this down into the smallest possible actionable steps. In the project management world, we call this a work breakdown structure, but in reality, it's just a very detailed to-do list. So let's get back to our health project. Our scope statement was, my project is to lose 10 pounds in the next 3 months by exercising 3 times a week. I will also cook 4 healthy dinners at home per week. Also, I will not eat any sugary treats, drink any sodas, or eat any fast food. Now, ask yourself, what are the actual tasks that I need to do to achieve this? Well, some of them might be things like this. I want to research local gyms and get a membership. I want to schedule 3 30-minute workout blocks in my calendar for the week. I want to find 10 healthy recipes that actually look pretty tasty. I want to make a grocery list from those recipes, and I want to go grocery shopping every Sunday. I want to spend an hour on Sunday to meal prep for the week. And I want to avoid all fast food. All of a sudden, Get Healthier doesn't seem so abstract and distant anymore. Now, there's a couple of tricks to building this list the right way, so let's go through them. First, you want to start by adding tasks that are actually manageable and achievable. This makes things a lot easier to check off the list, and momentum plays a very big factor in projects. Nothing's worse than adding a task that's too hard to accomplish. The key is to make each task so small and specified that it feels almost silly not to do it. Go to the gym can feel like a huge effort when you first start. But put your gym clothes by the door and pack your gym bag the night before. Those are tiny tasks that make the next step, actually going, a lot easier. Which leads us to the second trick. As you list out your tasks, think about what those tasks may depend on for you to actually get them done. Project managers call these dependencies. Essentially, these are the tasks that you need to finish before you can start others. We describe these as finish to start or FS relationships in the project management world. I must get A done before I can move on to B. For example, you may want to do some research on recipes before you start making your grocery list. And you need the groceries before you can meal prep. In order to cook 3 to 4 meals a week at home and eat healthy portions, you're going to need to meal prep. Your ultimate goal is to cook 3 to 4 times a week at home, but there's other steps that you need to do in order to actually make this happen. And figuring out these dependency relationships helps you put your work in logical order, which removes even more guesswork for you. By thinking like this, you will start to understand what it actually takes to achieve these tasks. This type of thinking also helps you adjust your tasks for more achievable outcomes. If a dependency is too hard to complete before you move on to the larger task, you may want to refine that larger task to something that's a lot more manageable. Last point, and probably the most important part to point out in this whole thing, don't feel like you have to map out the entire project from day one. Most project managers who try to map everything out from start to finish typically find out later that their plan needs some adjustment. Just focus on the first few steps to get the ball rolling and build from there. So, if you're already starting to feel a little bit more clarity and control just thinking about this, do me a favor and hit that like button. And if you're serious about learning more about project management and how it works in this brave new world of AI, make sure you subscribe. Now let's get into the final game-changing step. Step number 3, manage your project tasks and adjust. So, you defined your scope and you've broken it down into tasks, but a plan is totally useless if it just sits on a page in your computer. The final piece of the puzzle is to actually manage your project. And in some cases, this means managing yourself, but if your plan involves other people, you'll have to manage them too. If you're able to actively track your progress, judge your performance objectively, and then make the needed adjustments along the way, this is when the magic actually happens. This process does not need to be complicated, and in fact, the simpler it is, the better. One of the best tools you can use to track your progress is a simple Kanban board. You can use a whiteboard, a corkboard with sticky notes, an Excel document, even free apps like Trello to build your Kanban board. And to build it, all you really need to do is line up 3 columns: to do, in progress, and done. Then just move your tasks from left to right as you work on them. Your goal is to get all of your tasks from the to-do column into the done column. That's your finish line. And seeing your progress laid out visually is incredibly motivating. Filling up that done column, it gives you a real big sense of accomplishment and it helps you keep going. Now, if you want to run things like a real project manager, you're going to need to check in, even if it's with yourself. Project managers call this the weekly review, the weekly touch point, the weekly roundup, etc. There's a lot of names for it, but the point is that it happens weekly. You want to set aside 20 to 30 minutes every Sunday to just look at your project and ask yourself 3 simple questions. What did I get done this week? What got in my way this week? And what is the plan for next week? And this simple evaluation will give you tons of insights into how you can accomplish the work you're going to target for next week. And it's very important to be honest with yourself and others during these assessments. Holding yourself and others accountable is exactly what keeps everyone on track. This little review loop is what actually makes the entire system work. Maybe you realized your plan of going to the gym after work keeps failing because you're just too wiped out to even make it through the door. So during your weekly review, you can pivot. Okay, I'll try a 30-minute workout in the morning instead to see how that goes. Look, I know we all get busy. Things are going to go wrong. And you're going to miss a workout or a task, and things are going to take a lot longer than you thought they would. But don't let that discourage you or your team. Remember this, the goal isn't perfect execution, it's actually continuous progress because even the best plan needs to be adjusted from time to time. This process of taking small steps and adjusting as you go is the absolute key to making progress that actually lasts. So, there you have it. 3 simple steps to take control and actually achieve your goals without all of the stress or $1,000 guru courses. With these tips, you can cut through the fog of your goals and aspirations with a clear plan of action and proper motivations to see it through. So let's recap. First, you want to define your project scope. Turn a vague goal into a clear, measurable goal with a meaningful why behind it that drives you. Second, break your scope down into small, manageable tasks. Build yourself a step-by-step roadmap that actually clarifies the steps and tells you exactly what to do next. And third, manage your project with simple tracking tools and weekly reviews. Something like a Kanban board to see your progress visually and adjust your plan so that you never lose momentum. This framework isn't about adding more work to your already busy life. It's about cutting down on the mental clutter and the decision fatigue that actually prevents you from getting those things done. You want to use your energy in a smart way so you can make real, tangible progress on the things that actually matter to you. And when you apply these ideas, you become the project manager of your own life. Not in a rigid corporate way, but in a way that feels empowering, intentional, and genuinely fulfilling. If you have a goal, now you know how to build and execute a plan to achieve that goal. So that makes me curious. What's the first goal that you're going to go after with this new approach? Let me know down in the comments. And if this video helped you figure some things out, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications. Thanks for watching, folks, and remember, what you do next is a lot more important than what you just learned. Be the leader that you know you can be. This is Lawrence. Until next time, I'll see you guys soon. Take care.